The Jake Paul vs. Paddy Pimblett feud continues as the Liverpudlian has just threatened to drop and kick the celebrity boxer in his face. Jake's really trying hard to get the fight on his terms, but Paddy is much smarter than that. He's holding his ground and forcing the YouTuber to come out of his shell. Logan Paul, on the other hand, thinks he could take on McGregor in a boxing match. Stay tuned for more. First up, a real fight. There's no denying Jake Paul is a really good boxer. His performance against Tyron Woodley was super impressive as he dropped the former UFC champion with a brutal blow to the thinker. Even during his last outing against MMA legend Anderson Silva, Jake put on a decent performance to win the fight and scratch off another big name off his list. But it was the Silva fight that actually ignited a deadly war of words on Twitter between the problem child and UFC lightweight sensation Paddy Pimblett. The Liverpudlian didn't hold back one bit as he called Jake out for fixing fights and paying his opponents to let him win. And to be honest, it's not like Paddy was the only one to say that. A lot of big names in the fight world thought Silva let him win instead of going all out. After hearing what the 27-year-old had to say about his win, Paul offered to take him in a high-stakes sparring match with a whopping $1 million on the line. The terms were simple. If Paddy wins, he gets a cool $1 million, but if Jake wins, the baddie would have to join the United Fighters Association and help sign some of the best talent from the UK. Here's where things get interesting though. The Brit isn't gonna let Jake fight on his terms, and if the two do ever spar, he might just drop him on his head and kick his face in. Time for a real fight, Jakey. You ready? Next, a level playing field. Jake seriously needs to step it down a notch and learn to fight on a level playing field. We don't want to get into it again, but fighting guys twice your age who have no real experience in boxing isn't exactly heroic or something. It's actually just hurting his career as a professional boxer since he's running away from the real competition. But Paddy isn't gonna let him off the hook that easily. If Jake wants this fight, it'll have to be on a level playing field. It's not gonna be solely on his terms since he's the one making the call out. It's not Pimblett who's chasing the $1 million sparring match, but actually the celebrity boxer trying to cash in on the Liverpudlian's fame. So what does the lightweight sensation mean by a level playing field here? Well, the difference in their weight class is a huge advantage for Paul. He fights at around 195 pounds, and Paddy, he fights in the lightweight division at just 155 pounds. There's a clear difference, and because Jake is naturally a bigger guy, Paddy wants him to drop to at least 175 pounds if he wants the fight to happen. Honestly speaking, it's a fair ask because the sparring match makes absolutely no sense if Jake is coming in at around 190 pounds while the baddie is at 170 or something. And it's about time someone reminded him not every fight is going to be on his terms because Paddy isn't some ordinary fighter. His rise at the UFC is being compared to the likes of global superstar Conor McGregor. Moving on, turning the tables. You can't take anything away from Jake though. Along with being a good boxer, he's a really smart guy. As soon as the baddie called him out for fixing fights, he immediately turned the tables by accusing him of calling MMA legend Anderson Silva a cheater. I'm sick and tired of this narrative. It's and pathetic. You're disrespecting the own GOAT of your own sport. Paddy didn't respond to this, but he didn't back away from his original statement either. So he did manage to corner the Brit on this occasion, but whether it's going to be enough to get the fight on his terms is still a question mark. The problem child even offered to fly Paddy out of Puerto Rico on the 19th or 20th, but he instantly refused that offer. It's either going to be his way or the fight is off. Let's see what happens now. Jake is in unknown waters right now because this is the first time his opponent is okay with not fighting him. He usually picks out retired guys looking for a big paycheck to enjoy retirement in peace. We're not saying the guys he's fought don't have enough money or something, but who'd say no to a big fat paycheck in just one night? But yeah, like we said before, Paddy is already on an upward trajectory at the UFC and has a huge fan base, packing arenas and selling PPVs every time he fights. The last thing he needs is money right now, since he has a lot of opportunities right in front of him. Following up, at least he's honest, right? While the younger brother tries to fix a sparring match against an upcoming MMA superstar, older brother Logan Paul is busy talking about potential showdowns against the Irishman. Making an appearance on the Bobby Lee podcast, Logan discussed what could possibly happen if he fought Conor McGregor. And we're not gonna lie, we like him more than Jake since he's honest about what would happen. If it was a professional boxing match with all the legit rules, then the Maverick thinks he could take Mystic Mac back hands down. Having fought possibly the greatest boxer of our generation, Floyd Mayweather, Logan is confident that he has what it takes to drop the Notorious. And we get it. Going the distance against Money Mayweather is huge, but let's not forget that Conor has done that as well. Both of them did not get the win. But if we look at the fight side by side, the Irishman landed some serious blows and Mayweather actually looked like he was in trouble at times. There's even a video that shows the exact moment Conor landed a slick combination to stun Floyd and get the crowd on their feet. The Logan-Paul fight was pretty entertaining as well, but he isn't exactly as skilled as his younger brother. He got a chance to end the fight on several occasions, but just started flapping his arms around like an amateur. So if we're being honest, we're not too sure whether he could take him in a boxing match since McGregor is a natural striker.
Listen to this place.
Oh, big shot by McGregor.
Look at the clock closely. 10 seconds.
Oh, he's hurt.
Up next, what about a street fight? We're glad Logan isn't delusional like most celebrity fighters, since he knows Conor would destroy him if the two were ever matched up in a street fight. Just imagine it for a second. Conor versus Logan inside the cage. The Irishman would just pick him apart with all sorts of moves, sending him to the shadow realm in under a minute. Even a minute is probably too long. We'd give Logan about 30 seconds. He'll probably be able to defend himself for 30 seconds before McGregor lands a devastating head kick to send him packing. It's just a really sad tale though, when you think about it. Mixed martial artists always have to fight under boxing rules, since they would destroy a boxer 9 times out of 10 if it were the other way around. Like, even if we're talking about a possible showdown between Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury, the fight will probably go down in a boxing ring under boxing rules. But just imagine what would happen if Fury was okay with the idea of fighting Francis inside the octagon. You'd probably have to have medical staff and an ambulance on standby because the Predator would destroy him in less than a minute. Last but not least, he's under a UFC contract. Before we end this video, we just want to jump back to the sparring match between Paddy and the Problem Child. It seems like Paddy is forgetting he's under a UFC contract right now and can't fight anyone unless the boss allows him. And sure, this is a sparring match and not an official fight, but what about Dana White? He hates Jake Paul and doesn't even like talking about him. We don't blame him either though. Jake is always calling him out and blasting him for not taking enough care of his fighters. He even dropped a diss track about him and accused him of being a cocaine addict on several occasions. Even if it's just a sparring match, Dana won't be too happy to see his fighter entertaining Jake Paul at the UFC Performance Institute. It might even have some repercussions, you know. Since White hates him so much, he might just take all the support away from the Brit and force him to find his own way at the UFC. Because in case you haven't noticed yet, it's pretty obvious the UFC is trying to build him into a future cash cow. Well, that's it from our side, guys. So what do you think? Will a high-voltage $1 million sparring match ever happen between Jake Paul and Paddy Pimblett? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.